morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host this morning. We'll be joined a little bit later by Doreen Hannes. Doreen is the purveyor of truthfarmer.com. She is a regular guest on our show on Fridays, and she is just a insightful and knowledge-filled individual relating to things that are agricultural in their framework, activism in terms of political insight, and we really enjoy having her with us. So I hope that you'll stay with us for the show and hear what she has to say. We'll be talking again this morning in reference to some of the current initiatives in the state assembly, and especially in reference to defeating this proposed Monsanto Protection Act here in the state of Missouri. So our goal, of course, is to terminate any opportunity for that to even get to the ballot unless the language is changed to protect the small farmer. I talked yesterday in reference to the fact that our mainstream media system has become a full-time propaganda ministry. And I posted an article this morning, or last night, up on America's Voice Now. And I basically took a story that a man was arrested with a 300-gun arsenal in his home. Now, this is out on Long Island, if you're from back east. And basically what happened was this guy was charged with, basically he's a gunsmith, and they charged him with running an illegal gunsmith operation out of his house. Unfortunately, what they did is they took this story and they loaded it with all of these prejudicial and biased statements to try to drive and elicit an emotional response from the reader. And I talked about this yesterday. I want to caution you about what you see and hear in the media, because their goal is to attempt to elicit an emotional response from you, not one based on logic, not one based on reason, not one on intelligence, not on thoughtful consideration and critical thinking skills, but based purely on emotion. Let me tell you something. Emotion is exactly what is driving our nation to destruction. I'm not saying we should all be Mr. Spock from Star Trek. What I am saying is that when you talk about bias in the media, their entire operational function is no longer to report the news with objectivity and independence and inform you about what's going on in our nation. Their sole goal is to achieve their own prior agenda. And that agenda takes many forms, but almost invariably it's always a progressive form. Invariably, it's almost always the liberal viewpoint. Now, if it were not for the internet, you would have no objectivity whatsoever. Quite honestly, there are many, many, many websites that are out there on the internet that purvey news in a way in which at least it may be biased to the right, but at least you're getting more of the story than the chopped up, diced, and minced pieces that you get from mainstream media. I strongly encourage anyone and everyone, if you don't have internet access at home, and I know there are many, many, many of you who don't. I mean, I get calls from folks all the time who say, I don't have internet. I can't sign up for a newsletter. I can't get to these stories. How can you give me this information without my having the internet? And I find it difficult to give you an answer, because without the internet, you are robbing yourself of an opportunity to have access to information. You're starving yourself. And I'm not suggesting that everyone go out there and incite a brand new bill for the internet. I am suggesting that everyone can have access to it and should be utilizing that for a clear and specific purpose. And that is for the education of your own self and those around you within your circle of influence. Now, there are plenty of ways that you can have access to the internet that don't require that you purchase an internet plan and have it at home and drop $40 or $50 in somebody's pocket. I get it. I know we're all on a tight budget. But I've got to alert you to the fact that if your sole source of knowledge is cable TV or satellite dish, I would strongly encourage you to dump the dish, dump the satellite, dump the cable internet or cable services, and get internet instead. In other words, apply your money wisely. And if you can't do that, or you don't already have some kind of television, because I'm going to tell you something. Television is the number one method by which the mainstream media is indoctrinating you and manipulating you. They are no longer about the distribution and dissemination of news and information. They are all about mental mind control and manipulation. If you read this story, I have actually taken each line in this article, and then I've given you links to all of the articles at the bottom, a host of them. There's so many of them out there. I gave you links to about 7 or 8. And I gave you instructions explicitly and clearly in this article about how you can watch for and what you should be looking for so that you recognize manipulation when it's occurring. Now, if you don't have internet access, there's plenty of ways that you can get it without having to pay for it. 1, you can go to a local community library. It's free. Yes, they monitor everything you do, but it's free. So go there, and time is limited. I get it. So go there with a plan in hand. Go there with an agenda. Go there with a chart of what the things are that you want to go see. Go there with a list of websites that you want to hit immediately so you're not wasting time. Or you can go to a fast food restaurant. You can go to a restaurant or a hotel where they offer free Wi-Fi access. Listen, I don't care if you buy yourself a tablet or a little netbook and you sit in the parking lot and you spend an hour in your vehicle reading and educating yourself. It is critically important that you do so. And if you absolutely adamantly refuse to educate yourself about what's going on in your world around you today, then if nothing else, go to the library and take out free books and read about what has happened in the past so that at least you have some level of information, some level of education, some level of motivation to move forward. If you are literally just wallowing in your own insecurities and your own fears, you're drinking your own Kool-Aid. That's unacceptable. I challenge you to read and learn everything that you can about the subjects that are affecting us. I know we're all busy, but I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I do all of this, and then I get off of here at 9 o'clock in the morning and I spend 15 minutes cleaning up, and then I go off and I work until 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. If I can do that, you can do that. I know we're tired. I get home, my feet hurt too. I want to sit down and do nothing but vegetate out. But the simple truth is, there is work to be done. And we are vastly and rapidly running out of time. I'm telling you, you don't have to look far and wide to see the results of exactly what is coming down upon our nation. They're talking about now having the Secret Service go out and arrest sheriffs if they refuse to follow the Constitution. In those states like Colorado and Connecticut, where they have passed these ominous gun regulations, which are completely and so extra constitutional that they don't even merit a response. We're talking about a government which is so far out of control at this point that I'm not sure how we go and rein it back in. But I'm going to tell you this. Even if we don't necessarily know how to rein it back in, you better know what's going on in it. And if you don't, you're going to be caught completely unaware. When we return, Doreen will join us. I'll make a couple of quick announcements, by the way. I want to send out a shout-out to the fellow who's been graciously dropping off gift certificates for me at Chantilly's. I am very, very grateful to you. Thank you so very much. You've been dropping off a couple of gift certificates over there so I can get some coffee in the morning, and I am extraordinarily grateful. Thank you very, very much. I don't want to give your name out, but I'm very appreciative, and I thank you. Those folks of you who donate on our website and help us out, I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. Hang on a second. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Hugh Hewitt on the next Hugh Hewitt Show. Joe Kernan of CNBC Squawk Box joins me to talk about how long and how far this rally can go and whether or not Apple's ever going to get back on board, though they had a wonderful day on Friday. And I'll be joined by Congressman Tom Cotton, around whom considerable swirl continues to spin, because he might be running for the United States Senate.
Sundays from 6 till 7, following Money Talk with Bob Brinker, it's the Weekend Journal with Hugh Hewitt on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1. Out of 365 days a year, we celebrate holidays, anniversaries, and other important days. But there is one day you look forward to, your birthday.
I wanna wish you a happy birthday.
Ryan's Steakhouse of West Plains is proud to bring you the Birthday Club weekday mornings with Cooper & Company. Our daily winner receives one buffet and a drink to Ryan's. Just call your birthdays in weekday mornings with Cooper & Company at 255-0427. Brought to you by Ryan's and the Ozarks Best News Talk.
And happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha-cha.
As I was saying before I was cut off by that capitalist break there, listen, I want to just thank those of you who do donate to this program in any way, shape, or form. You know, we do this as a voluntary effort, and I am very, very grateful and appreciative to each and every one of you. If folks go onto the website and they click that PayPal link, and sometimes it's $5 and $10 and $20, and you have no idea what a difference that makes in terms of cutting our costs. I pay everything out of pocket, so. It's not an easy thing for me to do on a continuous basis, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of you, and to John, who stops by and drops off a gift certificate over at Chantilly's for me. I stop over there and get coffee and maybe a cookie or a bonbon once in a while, which my doctor hates, but I love, and I'm very grateful to you. So thank you very, very much. There are a couple of other announcements I'll make towards the tail end of the show. Actually, I'll tell you what, let me just throw these out there real quick. The Willow Springs Art Council is sponsoring a concert on April 28th at the Historic Star Theater in Willow Springs. And if you have an opportunity, this is going to be a special concert in an orchestral format. And, if you don't know, I really love orchestra music and classical music, and I'll tell you what, these are just awesome opportunities, and there is nothing so thrilling that will restore your faith in humanity than a quick visit to a classical or to an orchestral music event. So by all means, if there's any way that you can do that, make sure that you put that on your calendar. It is April 28th at 3 p.m. at the Historic Star Theater in Willow Springs. And there's also another event that's going on at the Ferguson Building on April 19th, and that's an exhibition that is going to be it's put on there by the Arts Council, and it's in reference to the photographs of the Ozark Stone buildings, and it will be held again at the Ferguson Building in downtown Willow Springs on April 19th from 3 to 6 p.m. And the show will run through Saturday, May 4th. So if you have an opportunity to take advantage of either of those events, please do so. Also, the Voice of the Ozarks meeting on Saturday at 2 p.m. in Winona will be occurring. Senator Doug Leibla and Jason Smith and Jeff Pogue will be there. For information, you can call Jerry King, and you can make arrangements to be there. Jerry King's phone number is 573-226-5662. That's 573-226-5662. Please make sure that you keep a pen and paper handy when you are listening to this show, because our goal here is to give out all kinds of information. And if you are scrambling around at the last minute looking for a piece of a wrapper or something to write on, you're not doing your due diligence and you're not doing your job. I'm doing mine. I expect that you're taking all this information down and then utilizing it, right? So, Voice of the Ozarks meeting, Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Winona Senior Center. Doug Leibla will be there. Doug is a fiery guy, and I would expect that you'll get a chance, if you're in that area, to visit with him and make your concerns known to him. He's a very good guy. Jason Smith will also be there, and you'll have an opportunity to question him directly about his Monsanto Protection Act bill that is wending its way through the Senate like oil through a goat. Jeff Pogue will also be there, and he's the representative for that district. 573-226-5662. Now, also Monday evening, that's this coming Monday, at 6 o'clock at the PRC meeting at the Spring Dipper in Mammoth Springs, Doug Enyart will be there. He's the Constitution Party candidate, and he'll be present there to speak about his platform and then to answer any questions you may have. If you want more information on that event, you can call 417 417-264-2435. That's 417-264-2435. And again, that's the PRC meeting, the Common Sense Property Rights Coalition, 6 p.m. at the Spring Dipper on Monday. Doug Enyart will be the Constitution Party candidate, 417-264-2435. Okay, and then Sean Rhodes on April 12th will hold a town hall meeting in West Plains at the Civic Center at 12 noon. That's April 12th. That's a Friday. That's next Friday. Sean Rhodes, the representative for this district, will be hosting a town hall meeting on April 12th at the Civic Center in West Plains. If you have an opportunity to get there, do so. It gives you a chance to hear a status update on where the House is, and it also gives you an opportunity to ask hard questions. Okay? I'm sorry, Doreen. I apologize. Thank you very much for joining us. I just got to get these things out of there. So.
All sorts of things to do, Mike.
Well, listen, you know what? We're all busy. But you know what? This is not the time to sit and rest on our laurels. We are in the marathon at this point, and I'm here to tell you that this is now time for the sprint at the final line. We are, you've been running and you've been saving your energy, and we're at the last of that 26 point, whatever the heck.
3, I believe.
26. We're at the 0.3 portion of the race, right? And we've got 0.3 clicks to go, and it's now time to pull out the last of your energy and dash for that line. Because I'm telling you, they are racing up behind us, and they are coming up with an Indy car. And we're in trouble here, big trouble.
Yes, we are. We are in the deepest trouble that we've ever been in this country.
We have never faced the constitutional challenges that we have going on right now, right here in our environment today, in our nation. Right. We are not only falling behind in terms of our federal rights and liberties, but we are also starting to see it eroded in our state. A perfect example is this House Resolution and Senate Resolution 11 and 7, which is the Monsanto Protection Act. I mean, this thing has got to either be, if they're not going to modify the language, then I say I don't even want it on the ballot.
It has to be killed. That's all there is to it. It absolutely needs to die in the Senate. It's already passed through the House. All it has to do is pass through the Senate, and then it will show up on the ballot. And the language is so deceptive in this legislation. It does not give the voter the opportunity to actually know that they are voting in the freedom for Monsanto or Aqua Bounty, any animal or genetic modification to proliferate within the state with no controls whatsoever.
I posted up on Wednesday the state senator list. Okay. And there is every state senator is on that list.
Call them all.
You should be calling each and every one of them. I don't care if you say, you know what, I'm going to skip lunch today. I'm just going to sit down here with my mobile phone at a picnic table somewhere, and I'm going to make calls.
Right.
And just make the calls and say, this is who I am. I want this Monsanto Protection Act for the state defeated, and I expect that you are going to vote to represent me. And then hang up the phone. You don't even have to make it long and windy. Just get on there and do your job. Do your part. Stand up and take responsibility for our republic. Because if you don't do so now, you will not have another opportunity.
Right. And while it seems kind of daunting, and we have so much that's piled against us. If we do nothing, it's guaranteed to just roll over us.
Well, we've been doing nothing for the last 100 years, and that's the problem.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people have been doing nothing, but some people have been doing some things. And for those who are familiar with the NAIS battle, Michael, that was supposed to be mandatory with enforcement in January of 2009. Okay, and the enforcement were fines of up to $50,000 per infraction, okay? So we slowed it down. Now, we made them change the name and change their application method a little bit, but it was we, the people, who slowed it down, okay? Had we not done anything, and I'm talking about everyone who made calls, all of us are responsible. Now, some of us poured out our lives on the effort, but all of us are responsible. If we did not take that action that we took, we would be in that situation already, So it is effective to take action, and it's more effective to take action on a state level than it is on the federal level. Okay?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to absolutely, we have to absolutely get hammering on this issue.
Right. And we absolutely have to get hammering on other issues as well. I mean, right now the Senate has passed out that Senate Joint Resolution 14, which puts another initiative on the ballot to ask if Missouri should amend our Constitution to state empirically that our gun rights are basically unalienable, okay? And, I mean, that's fine, but what we really need to have is the nullification that we have in House Bill 436 and Senate Bill 325. We need to push the jurisdictional issues behind our system of government to the absolute forefront in everybody's mind. Because if the state government is supposed to do exactly what the feds want, then why are we bothering with the charade of having state government?
Exactly. I mean, if we are going to basically just kowtow to the federal government and allow them to do everything, and allow our state governments to be nothing more than a jeering crowd,
right?
Then what's the point of our Constitution at all?
Exactly.
Everybody wants to put the 10th Amendment because it's 10th somewhere down the list of priorities. I'm sorry, but the 10th Amendment is not the Bill of Rights is not a priority order insofar as our 10th Amendment is concerned. Just because it's 10th doesn't mean that it has any less validity and any less value than the first and the second and the third and the fourth and whatever. I mean, the goal is the goal of our framers was basically to say we have 50 independent little micro countries here,
right,
and we're going to all gather together and we're going to create this small and delegate powers to this small entity who is going to control things that are to the effect and benefit of all 50 of us. And yet, each of these 50 have a right to operate as a completely independent economic environment, completely independent political environment, and that way, or in that way, we have a scenario where free enterprise in politics runs the day.
Right. Absolutely. And if we don't have the jurisdictional protection and the proper application of the constitutions of both the states and the federal government, then we have indeed already lost our country. So we have to push this issue. The 10th Amendment issue is paramount to our freedom because, as the founders knew, they spoke several times about being ruled from thousands of miles away. We are currently in the same situation. And arguably, Michael, I think it could be stated that we are in a much worse situation than
right.
our founders were. However, be that as it may, we have a state government that has elected representatives, and they have a duty to represent all of us. Whether or not we're actually in their district, they need to take phone calls from us and hear our viewpoints on law that they are going to make that affect every single citizen within the state of Missouri. So, people, get on there, make your phone calls. Do it 10 minutes at a time.
Right. I mean, you don't have to sit and make this a marathon event, but you do have to be you do have to be taking action. And if you're not, you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing for the benefit of the rest of the nation and for yourself and your own family. But,
Right.
With our freedoms, with our liberties, with our republic comes duty and responsibility.
Absolutely.
And you have an obligation to participate in that, each and every one of you.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue to speak with Doreen this morning. There's two news articles out there I want to break when we come back. One is that a federal judge has just ordered the FDA to allow the morning after pill sales to be made over the counter to females of any and all ages. And the second is that 90 million Americans we just hit the number of 90 million Americans leaving the labor force. We are back to 1979 rates of participation in the labor force, folks. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. 88,000 new jobs created last month. That's fewer than expected. The unemployment rate down at 7.6% with fewer people looking.
That is the lowest level since December 2009. The unemployment rate coming down for not particularly a great reason. About 500,000 people left the workforce in March.
Fox Business Network's Peter Barnes at the Labor Department. President Obama is proposing Social Security cuts in the budget he'll present to Congress next Wednesday.
The cuts would actually be just slowing the rate of growth in Social Security spending. The method, revising the way the Consumer Price Index is measured, thereby reducing these Social Security payment hikes that are tied to the CPI.
Fox News Radio's Rich Johnson in Washington. Target apologizes for describing the color of a plus-size dress as manatee gray. Smaller sizes were heather gray. Fox News, we report, you decide.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Wits End Classic Barbershop, who is the sponsor of our telephone lines this morning. They're located on the square in West Plains. It's Wits End Classic Barbershop. Thanks to our friends over at West Plains Pawn and Gun. You can find them on the web at westplainspawn.com. They can be reached at 417-256-3000, and they're located on Route 160, about a mile past Walmart on the right-hand side. 400 guns undercover. Pizza Hut, our friends down there on Porter Wagoner Boulevard. They have an outstanding lunch menu with salad, pizza, and pasta. Excellent opportunity for you to have a great lunch and eat well and something tasty. Our friends over at the Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com. Telephone 417-257-7799. Our friends over at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance can be found on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. My friend Brian there can be reached at 870-492-4030. They're located a half mile east of Walmart at 3225 Route 62, Mountain Home. My friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, the best damn bakery in 100 miles. She's right off the square in West Plains at 2 Evans Arcade, and you can reach her at 255-2253. And my friend Bill Stone over at Stone Construction. If you're considering doing remodeling, custom or new construction, or anything like commercial, give Bill a call and have him bid on your project at 293-0116.
Are you looking to save money? Did you know that in the last 20 years, interest rates have never been this low? That's why you should make the smart call today to West Plains Savings and Loan to start your home mortgage. Just imagine how much money you'll save. Key word is save, as in savings and loan. Your loan starts here and stays here. Never would it be sold to a secondary lender. Call today, 256-3042. That's 256-3042. West Plains Savings and Loan. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Weather is a service of News Talk 107.1 The Point. Contact Josh or Cody at 255-2548 for more information on making weather sponsorships part of your marketing plans.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, we'll have a clear sky, plenty of sunshine through the day, the high 68, partly cloudy tonight, low 44. Tomorrow's going to be mostly sunny day, the high 70, mostly cloudy Sunday with a couple of thunderstorms, the high temperature around 70 degrees. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
Heaven knows how to fix a proper price on something as celestial as freedom. That's Thomas Paine from The American Crisis. But the words before that are, these are the times that try men's souls. I believe the Republic is what the Republic is today because you're still standing. But we have a long way to go, and there's more tough times ahead. But freedom is worth it.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Weekdays from 2 to 5, it's Glenn Beck on the Ozarks' best News Talk 107.1.
All right. Folks, there is so much to cover this morning. I'm not even going to listen to the bumper music. We are just really on the edge here of major trouble. I want you to hear something that will blow your doors off. There's a guy named Austin Goolsbee. He was a former economic advisor to Obama, and why it's important for you to hear this sound snippet will be self-explanatory.
But still, yeah.
I hear Austin. I hear you, Austin. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, we all overshot it. This is a punch to the gut. I mean, this is not a good number, and I think now you're going to, interestingly, start seeing a lot of discussion about maybe the sequester's a bigger deal than people thought it was, because I think it's going to.
Not the sequester.
This is
not the sequester, but the payroll tax hike. It's a massive decline in retail. losing 24,000 jobs. That was the big thing that Hampton pointed out. Services up okay, 80,000. Construction was up 18. Manufacturing actually declined, which was kind of interesting. Temporary help up 20,000. Government only losing 7,000. So that was not a huge. I think that Austin, if it's going to happen, is yet to come. What's really interesting is looking at the negative numbers in the household survey. The workforce declined.
Folks, basically what this was is Austin Goolsbee coming out and saying that this brand new number, which is terrifying actually in its scope, is not really the fault of taxation and failed Obama policies, but is the fault of sequestration. The economists there on CNBC clearly corrected him and say, no, this is the payroll tax result. And it is. People not in the labor force soars by 663,000 people to a new total of 90 million people out of work. That is the lowest labor force participation rate we have had since 1979. If this doesn't kind of signal to you exactly where this thing is headed and where our economy is headed, I don't know what you're waiting for. I mean, we are talking about a serious crash in terms of our economic, or our ability to provide jobs for our own nation, and our ability to keep the taxation base alive, and to be able to be a productive member of the planet. We have the number one economy in the world, and it's slipping away from us like sand through our fingers. So, the other news bullet this morning is that a judge orders that the morning after pill now be available without a prescription to girls of any age, even under 17 years of age. So they overturned a decision by the Health and Human Services to require a prescription for girls under 17. The FDA says it can't comment because it's an ongoing legal matter, but now a federal judge orders the FDA to make the morning after pill available over the counter to people of any age without a prescription. Welcome to the New World Order. It's not only acceptable, it's advisable to terminate your children. I mean, it's just beyond comprehension. We want to talk about one other issue here, which is the federal framework that is now being set up to arrest sheriffs who refuse to abide by state law or federal law, which is extra and unconstitutional in its nature. Right. In Colorado and also in Texas now, there's a move afoot to utilize the U.S. Secret Service, including uniformed division officers, physical security technicians and specialists, and other special officers to arrest and remove elected sheriffs who refuse to enforce these laws, or anyone else breaking the law, if they refuse to follow these unconstitutional firearms mandates. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's pretty much a showdown, Michael. You know, do we or do we not have a Constitution, and do we or do we not have the 10th Amendment in effect? You know, that is the dominant issue with this, and it is being pushed to the forefront by the Second Amendment and by the incursions against the Second Amendment. And all of these sheriffs who have signed on to the Constitutional Sheriff's Project, you know, signature letters stating that they will indeed uphold the Constitution, have effectively planted a target on themselves for the federal government to encroach upon our jurisdiction. And it's up to us, we the people, to support these sheriffs where we have them. And the Missouri Sheriff's Association has signed on in total. Now, I don't know about every single sheriff, but I know Texas County Sheriff did sign on. So we have got to give these guys backup, because it is a thin blue line, and they stand in front of us.
Well, I think the real reason that they're trying to do this is that they're looking to establish a brand new level of precedent.
Yes.
The goal here is, once you institute federal authority within a state, you have created a brand new level of law enforcement, or a brand new level of federal authority in that particular state. and it enables them to utilize their full police power on a federal level within inside of a state.
Exactly.
So,
and here's the thing, and I would like for people to contemplate this for a second. The Secret Service is SS, and everything that Hitler did was legal.
Yeah, there you go.
So if Colorado is to pass this bill that they have, and if Texas is to pass the bill that they have, it will be extremely detrimental to not only us who are existent, but those who come after us.
Exactly.
Okay? I mean, our children and their children are looking at an absolute Orwellian future if we fail to act in our time. People should have been up in arms 50 years ago, Mike. But unfortunately, the information was really well controlled, and people simply didn't know what was going on for the most part. And now with the Internet and with a plethora of talk radio shows, we have the capacity to find out what is actually happening, and this threatens their tyrannical efforts, okay? So it's coming to a head, folks.
It's coming to a head. This boil is coming to a head fast. So.
Right. And so, within our state, within Missouri, we absolutely must become just unrelentingly active on getting House Bill 436, which is the Second Amendment Preservation Act, through the legislative process, or Senate Bill 325. Those two things, those two bills, either one of them will set the precedent in Missouri to not allow the federal government to impinge upon our God-given rights.
Right.
Here.
325 is so critical, folks. Get onto Facebook and find that list of your state senators and start hammering them down to make them sign 325.
Absolutely.
Senate Bill 325, the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Because what that does is it effectively nullifies federal law that would limit your ability to own and possess a firearm. And I'm going to tell you something. The emergence of that as a state law will do one thing. It will force the federal government to either agree that the states have the right to nullify federal law, or they will try to complete a move like this, which is introducing these bills that establish federal authority within inside of a state, which has never been done before. And it would enable a president, these laws will enable the president or some executive in the president executive branch to override the actions and the laws of state governments. Now, there's some 340 or 350 sheriffs so far who've stated across the nation that they will not enforce any kind of Washington gun mandates.
Right.
And a lot of these states are already those who have passed these gun laws, like Connecticut and Colorado and New York, right? Mm-hmm. So many of these other states are out there passing gun rights preservation acts. And basically what you've got to do here is make it clear where Missouri stands on this issue. So we've got a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'd say the sheriffs need to remain vigilant in their jobs and keep their deputies up to par on what's going on. And if the federal government or any other of them unelected bureaucrats come to try and jail a elected representative of the people, immediately disarm them and throw them in his jail. And if anybody comes to break them out, kill them all for jailbreak.
Well, okay, I don't know why I want to go there, because here's the deal, folks. We are a peaceable and we are a peaceful nation, right. And we are a citizenry who are entitled to protect ourselves and defend our own state and our government against tyranny by either state or federal government. The idea that we can defend ourselves without resorting to the principles of mutually assured destruction is inherent in the fact that we have the right to redress our grievances with our government utilizing words and grassroots activation. And that is the principle upon which we're either going to win this thing or we're going to lose it. I'm going to tell you something. He who fires the first shot loses. Britain fired the first shot on us in the Revolutionary War, and we trounced them. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Mm-hmm. If you give the federal government even the slightest excuse to think that they can use force against us because we use force first, we're done. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll tap into this more.
Last time on the Dennis Miller Show.
At an event thrown by the website Politico, Bill Gates said, quote, "Some days I wish we had a system like the UK, quote, to give Obama more power." Yeah, some days I wish Windows worked like Apple. How's that, Billy Boy? These guys are fetishistic. He wants it to work more like the UK. He wants to see Obama padding around in one of those powder
Weekdays
blades.
from 9 till noon, it's the Dennis Miller Zone on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
The area's best selection of firearms and ammunition can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry. Top-of-the-line handguns from Kimber, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Glock, Beretta, and many more. A wide selection of ammunition, including blanks, centerfire handgun and rifle, rimfire, a variety of shotgun shells, target, and turkey. With new arrivals every week, the area's best selection of firearms and ammunition can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry, 1713 West U.S. Highway 160, or shop online at westplainspawn.com.
Howell County Bank branch of Bank of Thayer, locally owned and operated since 1900. It's not what they do, it's how they do it. What does that mean? Roger London, president of Howell County Bank.
You know, when people come through the front door at our bank, they're going to be greeted by 2 or 3 people immediately before they hardly get in the door. And they're going to find a very, very warm environment and people that are enthusiastic about serving them.
At Howell County Bank, it truly is not what they do, but how they do it. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
There is this product on Amazon that is simply going crazy. The banana slicer, almost 2,500 consumer reviews. I've been trying to come up with an ideal way to slice a banana. Use a knife, they say. Well, my parole officer won't let me around knives. Or how about this one? What can I say about the banana slicer that hasn't already been said about the wheel or penicillin? Obviously, just a pure hoax.
Saturdays noon to 3 and weekdays at 7:35 for your digital minute. It's Kim Commando on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
All right, we're back with Doreen Hannes this morning. Doreen is the purveyor of truthfarmer.com. She is also one of the primary authors for the prcnews.org, and I strongly encourage you to visit both of those websites. Doreen's site is absolutely just chock full of information, and we're very, very grateful that she graces us with her presence every Friday morning because she's really an asset to this program. And, folks, she's an asset to you. So make sure that you're supporting her in any and every way that you can, including visiting her website. And if you have the wherewithal and the means, please hit a donate button and make sure that you help Doreen out with her efforts as well. All of this stuff costs all of us money, people, and we do all of this stuff voluntarily. Doreen doesn't get paid by anybody to do anything. I don't either. And so, you know, when you have an opportunity and you've got a little bit of extra cash, instead of going out there and buying another six-pack or you know, whatever it is that you do with your money when that you consider spare cash, do yourself and do everybody else around you a favor and help us out, because we're the folks that are out there, you know, fighting the good fight for you every day. And folks like Doreen, I know her costs are astronomical. Just think about what it takes us to get in the car and drive to all of these different events that we go and speak at or we're participating in and things like that. So it's really important that you help to support groups like ours and Doreen's. And you can get to Doreen's website at truthfarmer.com and also the Property Rights Coalition group at prcnews.org. Doreen, we've got a bunch of phone calls here. The phone lines are just jacked. You want to grab them real quick?
Yeah, but I just want to make one quick comment.
Sure.
You know, on all of these Obama executive orders on gun control that he signed on January 16th,
yes,
not one of them has been published yet, Michael.
I know it. We have no idea what they even say.
Right. All we have is a press release that was published that basically told the press what they were about. But we do not have the hard documents, guys. And I have not heard any mainstream media or even any alternative talk radio host talking at any length about that.
No.
And it's amazing. I've been watching executive orders since like 1998 and never seen this before.
You know, we're talking here about having a government which is operating for all intents and purposes in complete secrecy.
Right.
And that is the mark of tyranny, people. Crisis is the rallying cry of the tyrant, James Madison, and secrecy is their number one weapon.
Absolutely.
So
So we just have to remain vigilant, and we really have to push that 10th Amendment issue, Michael.
Absolutely. It's critically important. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, this is a question that nobody has an answer to, I don't suspect. But rightfully so, we have to start at the bottom, and we do these things peacefully.
Right.
However, it's just bugging the life out of me. Why isn't our House and Senate in Washington doing something from the top down?
Because they're in on it, dear.
Well, I know they're in on it, but if we don't start from the top down...
We've already lost the ability to do that, don't you understand? We've
do,
lost
but
the ability to start from the top. It's already been stolen from us by our alleged representatives.
Right.
That's the simple reality of it, people.
Well,
it's a good question, hon, and I wonder, when America is going to get the idea and the understanding through their heads that we have been betrayed. And that's the simple truth. And you don't look to your captor. You don't look to your master. You don't look to those people who are trying to do you harm for sympathy and mercy. They are your enemy, flat and simple. And that is the simple truth. And your enemy is not going to turn around and offer to you some kind of acquiescence or some kind of assistance. They have worked ceaselessly and tirelessly against you, and that's where we are today.
Well, I'll join your millions of people who surround Washington.
Okay, thank you, hon.
It's largely an insider trading organization, so they can pre-position their buys on the stock market by knowing what the laws are going to be and knowing what the reports are going to be on things prior to them coming out.
Exactly.
So, and they've actually refused to pass laws to constrain that activity.
Well, because they're being paid off. I mean, Blunt has been the number one recipient of Monsanto money, which is headquartered in St. Louis. And the guy just walked in there and took that Monsanto bill, ran it through the House and the Senate as if it was, as if it was greased on
with subterfuge, because the other senators didn't even know what they were voting on for the most part. You know, he just slipped it right in there. In an Appropriations Act, Monsanto has the authority to plant whatever they want, and so do Syngenta and Bayer, by the way.
Sure. And even when it's proven to be dangerous, there's nothing we can, as a government, can do to stop them.
Right.
I mean, that's a betrayal of every concept that the Constitution has. The sole purpose of government is to protect the citizenry.
Absolutely. And, what the issues that we have are that we have a corporately controlled, quote-unquote, representative system at the federal level, and unfortunately, it's that way quite a bit at the state level as well. And
that, folks, is the definition of fascism.
Absolutely.
And that's why you heard me use the word fascist. We are not descending into a socialism, into a nation of socialism, nor are we descending into a nation of communism. We are descending, and I don't. Let me rephrase that. We are free falling into fascism.
Yes.
Fascism, again, the definition of fascism is where a government passes law at the behest of its corporate sponsors, which are in their best interest and against yours, and then uses their police power to enforce those laws against you.
Right.
And that is where we are, people, flat and simple.
When the government is in business with business, and if you simply look at a lot of documents out there, we've got all of these public-private partnerships, and that is fascism.
The public-private partnership word alone says all you need to know. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show. Quickly now.
Morning, this is Rich from Branson.
Hi, Rich.
Listen, real quickly, we need to go back to the system where the sheriff deputizes able-bodied men to assist him.
Right.
And we get back to a posse comitatus in a county, and we do this prayerfully, and we do it right. We could arrest the Fed when they come into our little county.
Great idea. Thank you so much, Rich.
Bye.
Appreciate you. Here's the problem. I think we have a state prohibition against deputizing individuals in the state of Missouri without having gone through the post-training.
Right.
And we need to maybe what we need to do, Doreen, is get on the write a repeal of that, whatever that limitation is. I'm not even sure where it is in state law. I just know that it exists.
Right.
If anybody out there knows that, email me at mike@americasvoicenow.org, and we'll make sure that we take a look at that and see if there's a way that we can get that repealed, because he's absolutely correct. What we need to be able to say is when the Secret Service comes in here to arrest our sheriff, we're going to bond around that man or woman and say, you're not taking this guy without taking all of us out first.
I'm sorry, you're acting illegally. You are under arrest.
Exactly.
Yes.
You are hereby disarmed, and you are hereby ejected from our county and from our state. And if you step foot across the boundary again, you'll be arrested and you'll be prosecuted.
Right. You know,
that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we are at. Do you not see our republic slipping away from us faster than water over a waterfall? We are at the very, very critical edges, ladies and gentlemen. We are really, truly at the edge of space. We are about to get sucked out into the vacuum and the void of tyranny. And I promise you, you will not like those results.
Nobody will. Nobody will at all. And, you know, the thing is, Mike, and this is what I always come back to, people who've heard me speak have heard me say this repeatedly, it all comes down to the consent of the governed, and I don't care what the system of government is.
Exactly.
Because the power does lie with the people. Our founders were cognizant of that. Every tyrant is cognizant of that. And Obama's recent, you know, lamentation about the Drudge Report really gives us solidification in that idea.
Right, right.
We have an effect. We just have to do it.
Exactly. The problem is that they know that we control the power. We don't get it yet that we do.
Right.
And that's why I say, you know something? Maybe it's going to take 5 or 10 or 12 or 15 million of us to go camp in Washington and say, we're not leaving until you do. And you know what? You want to take my car? Go right ahead. You want to take my house? Go right ahead. When this whole thing comes down, I'll get it back. But I'm telling you right now, all of our efforts, all of our words, all of our writings to our congresspeople, all of our telephone calls clearly are not having the kind of effect that we need to have. And at some point, we're going to get to a point where our economy is going to either collapse and at which point, then it's too late because they're going to institute martial law in order to control the cities who are going to fall first. I mean, let's be honest. Right. If you shut down the transportation lines and you stop delivering food to the cities in 3 days, this entire country is in the flush bucket.
It'll be a nightmare.
I mean, we're talking about people who are not in the labor force right now. The news came out this morning that we have reached 1979 levels of failure to participate in the workforce. We are at 90 million people who are not working.
And I believe the population was closer to like 210 or 220 million in 1979 than our current, 310 plus million.
Exactly. I mean, the simple truth is, go look at the debt clock because that gives you pretty good numbers. Mm-hmm. The entire number of the U.S. population is 315 million, right? Yeah. Out of that, the total number of actual unemployed, they're saying, is 22 million. It's actually 90 million. You are being lied to and manipulated, ladies and gentlemen, every moment of every day. Smash your television, get yourself some internet, buy yourself some ammo, buy yourself some freeze-dried food, and make sure that you're actively participating. Stop frivolous spending and start preparing for the worst. It's about to land on us like a ton of bricks.
Right, and we have to work together, Michael. We have to network with each other, and we have to know who our neighbors are.
If you are not participating in a community-organized event, and I don't care what it is, whether it's a small farmer's market, whether it is just going down and sitting down on a Tuesday night, I'll tell you something. I've been talking about this, and I'm going to actually pull it together. I'm going to start doing some constitutional classes. And some basic programming that will allow folks to understand what our framers and our founders were thinking. And I've been thinking about it because the distances are so great and it's so hard to travel. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to actually do it over streaming video.
That sounds wonderful.
What do you think of that?
I think it's great.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us, Doreen. Appreciate you. I love you, girl.
Thank you, Mike.
Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Folks, you're listening to America's Voice now. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. bright and early.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is KBMV Birch Tree is the Ozarks best news talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. There's a lot of selling because there wasn't a lot of hiring. Wall Street not happy with the new jobs report this morning. Fox Business Network's Dennis Neal is here live.
It's an ugly Friday for stocks on truly terrible numbers for jobs that may show the stumbling U.S. economy
could be getting even weaker. The U.S. added 88,000 jobs in March, way below the 200,000 forecast, and the worst number in 10 months. But don't blame the much-feared sequester. Federal government jobs fell only 14,000. Almost 500,000 people gave up seeking work last month, so the unemployment rate fell a tick to 7.6%. Time to book some profits if you're a trader. The Dow now down 165 points at 14,437, down 168, Dave.
Now, Dennis, not reaction yet from the White House, but Republican House Speaker John Boehner is blaming the president's policies, making it harder for Americans to find work. A Connecticut shop that sold a gun to the Newtown school shooter's mother has lost its federal firearms license. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives revoking the license of Riverview gun sales in East Windsor back in December. A new plan for Plan B. Fox News Radio's Courtney Keeley details a federal judge's new ruling on the morning after pill live.
The federal judge in Brooklyn has ordered the Food and Drug Administration to make the emergency contraception pill known as the morning after pill available to girls and women of all ages without a prescription. The ruling by U.S. District Judge Edward Corman comes in a lawsuit by reproductive rights groups who sought to remove age and other restrictions on the contraception. Currently, only females aged 17 or older can obtain the pills known as Plan B without a prescription. Dave?
According, they're in the hospital, but 3-month-old twins are stable in New Jersey, found dehydrated in an apartment along with their dead mother. A concerned relative contacted police. They hadn't heard from her for days. An autopsy is being done. It's believed it was natural cause death. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
At Advance Auto Parts, we don't just save you money. Oh, no. For a limited time, we're rolling out new Advance Double Deals. Always 2 products, always 1 low price. Like now. Get a 2-for-1 deal on Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Plus, other great deals throughout the store. It's simple. We roll out the double deals, you roll out of Advance with more money. Either way, you're on a roll, baby. Double deals, only at Advance Auto Parts. See store for details.
Ah, the sound of small business. Getting busier. Can you tell which one is using AT&T? Truth is, they all are. Because businesses of all kinds can find AT&T customizable plans that fit their exact needs. Whether it's broadband, mobility, or nationwide voice, at AT&T, we can help your business get humming.
I need more receipt paper, please.
Call 1-855-877-4288 today and ask about special offers available for new small business packages. AT&T. Rethink possible.
He had a Batman mask in his apartment. Newly unsealed court documents also show police found paper shooting targets in James Holmes' apartment after the midnight Batman movie turned into a massacre in Colorado. And we're learning more about the state of mind